Well guys, it's late May, and I figure I should make a decision on these jet skis that I got for free off of Craigslist. For those of you who haven't seen the first episode regarding these, where I did a quick walk around on them, I got two jet skis. They're identical. They're both Bombardiers. They're both the same model. I forgot what the model number is, doesn't matter. They both have these Rotax engines in them. No, I'm sorry. They both were Rotax powered. One of them has no motor in it. This one's got the motor in it, but it looks like heck. So the plan today is see if I can get the motor out of this thing, get it down in the basement on the workbench so that I can work on it in the evening when I have time. When I have time. Alright, maybe you guys can see now what the hell I was just talking about. So this is like the exhaust riser or manifold. I don't know the terminology because I'm not a jet ski mechanic, which is why this is going to be real fun to watch. This appears to be almost like a muffler, and then it goes in through this rubber coupling right here into something that I would call like a silencer or a secondary muffler, for lack of a better term. That moves pretty easily because it's only held in by a rubber strap. So I think if I undo this rubber coupling and unbolt the motor and undo the fuel lines and this water line, the electrical's already cut out, so I might be able to pull this whole motor assembly right on out, but I don't think it's going to fit with this on there. I don't think it's going to fit through here. And it's probably heavy enough that I don't want to try and just yank it out. So the two bolts are missing here. There's a nut. There's a stud right here with no nut on it. There's a stud right, no, actually there must have been a bolt or something that's missing here. So the only thing I think that's holding this on is there's a bolt right under here where I can barely get my hand. You'd be like a contortionist to get that one out. Oh, that's annoying. What if these things use metric? Oh, I bet you they do. Oh, I bet you they don't. Ow! Oh, that's sharp wire sticking off on that thing. Oh. See, why is that? Why is this a perfect fit? Half inch. And that one's not. Are you kidding me? Oh, that's a tough one to get through. I need a longer extension. Maybe I can get just. And now they get a broken freebie they can use drill. Whoa! Wash it before I lose it. Alright, so now that whole thing seems to want to be able to move, so I'm going to undo that coupling. So that's where that like muffler thing
silencer thing is a rubber coupling right there. I'm just going to undo that.
Okay, so this is some sort of a coupling here. I'm hoping this is just a splined shaft that goes into a splined hub right here. I know that you could take that whole drive unit out that way from the outside of the hull, pull it out that way. But I know you're supposed to use a special puller to do that, and I don't have one of those, so I'm gonna have to fashion something to do that later. But I don't even want to bother messing with the drive unit if the motor's junk. So what I'm hoping is that I can move this whole motor this way, and maybe this will come undone. That would be nice. So my plan is move the motor this way to get this to uncouple, hopefully, and this to pull out of this. And once I get that out, then move the motor that way so that I can get access to this bolt over here from hell. Well, I hauled this piece of junk into the yard, even though I was trying to avoid bringing anything else into the yard until I get some of these other projects wrapped up. But I got tired of having to come back to the house because I didn't have the right tools. So it looks like all the fasteners on this thing are metric. So that's problem number one. Everything I'm reading online says that you have to remove the pump unit before you can take the motor out. So that's basically, you take this off, you disconnect the linkage, which somebody already did, you take off the 4 nuts, which somebody already did, and then you take this housing out this way, and I guess the drive shaft is supposed to come out with it. Which makes me think I was right about the drive shaft pulling out the way it does, that I think it does. So I still don't get why I can't move the motor towards the front to disengage this. If I'm correct about, now when you take the pump out the rear, this shaft pulls out of here. I guess maybe this shaft pulls out of this right here. So I don't know. But now that I'm back at the house, I got my universal drive here, and I'm going to see whether or not I can take this bolt out, take this assembly off. Yep, 13 millimeter. I need an extension shorter than that. Or a, oh yeah, I know, I need a deep socket. I need a deep socket, let's see if that does it. That feels like it's going to snap. Just running it back in a little bit. See if that helps. Ain't that a hoot? No! Ow! Get that one out without snapping. Okay, now, there we go. Now this will come off of here. Oh, yeah. Oh, so apparently they call this big manifold pipe here thing a stinger. And I think they call that big tank looking thing a water tank. There we go. This way. All right, wire tie over here on a line. Well, those lines attached to something, so I'm going to take them off anyways. Just going to cut this wire tie. And the plastic wire tie right here was holding this wire, which looks like it might go to the battery. And I was attaching it to this pipe right here, this hose, which goes into a Y fitting. So there's two hoses here that go into a T. I'm sorry, a T fitting. Undo these two hose clamps. These would have been easy to pull off before I unbolted this bracket. Oh, man, those are on there. Oh. Back from a delicious supper. Ow! Knew I was going to do that. Slipped and stabbed my wrist. That is one healthy barbed fitting. Well, that larger hose was stuck on there so badly that I ended up splitting it with the screwdriver to get it to finally come off. Smaller one I'm not having much more luck with, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and cut it. I figure if I end up having to replace this hose later, small potatoes compared to the other issues that I'm thinking I'm going to end up encountering with this thing. So, there we go. So I guess I'm going to tilt this way maybe to get that to come out. Oh, that's not going to fit. Oh, you stinker. Okay, I got a couple of stainless steel hose clamps right here. So it looks like this section right here is a separate piece from this section. If I split this in two, I'll be able to get that out that way and this out this way. Come on. Made in the USA. Cool. Now I'm taking off one of these crimp type clamps that's holding a water line on that goes to the head. Got the clamp moved out of the way, but this line is every bit as stuck on there as this last one was. Yeah, I ended up cutting that line too. The throttle cable is already snapped off, so I don't have to worry about that. I do not see a choke cable. I see there's a spring that must have come off the carburetor. Yeah, throttle butterfly seized. Big surprise. Choke butterfly seized also. Got one line on the carburetor that comes from the crankcase. So it looks like they're using looks like this carburetor has an integral fuel pump, kind of like on a chainsaw. And this is probably an impulse line from the crankcase. And then we got two other lines running over towards the fuel tank. So one must be the supply and one must be a return. So by design, the fuel pump must be able to deliver more fuel than is needed during idle, and then that way the fuel's there and ready when you want to open up the throttle. But then there's another line that goes down to something down here in the bottom of the crankcase through some kind of a little filter, and oh, I see, that's the oil injection. That goes over to the oil tank. Alright, so now I'm wondering whether or not I can jar that motor out of there, off of that shaft. I don't understand it. That's It's looking more and more like I'm going to have to do what all the manuals say and take out this whole back end part here. Somebody already had this disconnected, and like I said, they already removed the 4 nuts that hold this on, but they didn't take it out because they were probably having trouble getting it out. And the reason why is because this is bonded, it's sealed with some kind of sealant, almost like glued to the hull, so that has to be broken free. Now I think there's a special puller that they make for this that actually allows you to I think you actually take this housing off completely and then attach a puller, which is just like a strap going across with a couple of bolts that go into the holes that this housing comes off of, and has a slide hammer on it. But I also found online a kind of more like unofficial, judging by the way it's written, almost seems like a unofficial manual that is more like a backyard mechanic way to take some of this apart. And they talk about just grabbing this unit after you've unbolted it and flexing it to break the seal. And I've already done that. See how it's moving now? I've already broken the seal on the bottom, but I can't get the top one to break free. So I wanted to move it side to side, but the problem is I'm grabbing onto this thing that's swiveling. So now taking that off, I'm wondering if I can wiggle it like this. There we go. Tight at the top, but I'm wondering about those lines that are on the inside. I don't know. Got this seal tool. Let me see if I can use this. There's like no clearance. I don't know.